Hi there. Welcome to The Preventable, the podcast giving you a seat at the table with conversations about the intersection of alcohol, drugs, and mental health in everyday lives. Take a seat and join us.
Welcome to The Preventable. Thank you for tuning in to listen to our episode today. Before we get started, let's give a big shout out and thanks to Hubbard Radio for allowing us to use their space to record and share these conversations with all of you. Today, I have not one, but two guests with me. So we get to have a fun conversation. Two people that I've known for quite a while. If you are familiar with Prevent+Ed, you might have seen their faces in your classroom or doing different projects in the community. We have Ali and Grace with us. Hi, Ali. Hi, Grace.
Hi. Glad to be here.
I am so glad you're here. So Ali and Grace, like I said, they are both staff people at Prevent+Ed, have been with Prevent+Ed for several years in different capacities, in different ways for a long, long time, and we'll unpack some of that. But today we're really talking about one of the hats that you all wear.
Yes.
And we know that there's many of them, but we're going to try to keep it focused around one. I'm sure we'll take some. We'll dip out a little bit. I like that, Ali. But yeah. So today we're really going to be talking about your role as co-directors of Prevent+Ed's Teen Institute.
That's right.
That's right. So, if you've been a long-time listener, you might have heard us talk about Teen Institute before. You've heard us talk about TI. But for people that are not long-time listeners, or people like me who have short-term memory loss, sometimes I feel like. Tell us a little bit about who you all are and what is TI.
So I'm Ali, and I'm going on my 12th year at Prevent+Ed, day in and day out. I'm at different schools, mainly high schools, a couple of middle schools, and very rarely, but they're awesome days too. I'm with the elementary kiddos, but yeah, for the last 2 years, so Grace and I are going on our third year of being co-directors for Teen Institute. It is a camp that we do every November. It used to actually be over the summer, but now it's in November. This year it's going to be November 12th through the 15th. And kids show up on the Thursday evening. We get them out of school that Friday, and then they stay with us through that Sunday. So that's kind of when it is. How else would you, I guess, describe it in your own words?
So I'm Grace. This is, I think, my 6th year as a staff person at Prevent+Ed, but I was involved, as I've known Jenny, for what feels like a very long time.
It does.
I've been involved with the different programs that Prevent+Ed has had for a very long time. So being
since high school, basically, right?
Since I think 8th grade.
Oh, 8th grade.
Is, I think very long. But so Teen Institute is a cool hat to kind of be able to put on, because being in the different leadership opportunities that Prevent+Ed has had, it's cool to kind of take a step into that role. And Ali and I have had a fun couple years doing it, which is really an exciting thing to be able to do. During the time that the participants are at TI, we do a lot of different things. We were really excited to kind of bring back the camp feel 2 years ago when we started hosting it at Camp Wyman in Eureka, Missouri. And so we do, obviously, the prevention piece. We do breakout sessions. We talk about different drug-specific topics, of course, but we also mix in a little bit of the fun stuff. We do camp tie-dye. We've done scavenger hunts and hikes, nature hikes. This year, we've kind of started racking our brains to kind of switch it up a little bit, maybe bring some more campy things, because we weren't expecting that to be one of the things that participants talked about after TI.
Really liked. Yeah.
Yes. So
I was going to say, give yourself a little more credit when you're like, we do a little bit of fun. It's a lot of fun. And that's really, it's fun, but, people are still learning and connecting and growing, but they have to have fun. I mean, first of all, even as adults, none of us want to do things for 4 days that are just a snooze fest, and especially teenagers. I mean, we got to keep them entertained too, and they don't all get their device in their hand 24/7, so we really have to keep them entertained.
Funny you say that too. A lot of kids, when we're in schools trying to recruit for the camp, I'll get the question a lot, is this one of the camps where we can't have our phones? okay, you get to, it's not like how school is now, because school in
forbidding,
Missouri,
yeah.
right, they're not, in terms of like, it's not illegal or legal, whatever.
Right.
They can still have their phones at camp. We just always, of course, ask them like when we're doing workshops to put them away. But otherwise, I mean, they're away from home, so I kind of think it's a little bit of a safety net for some to have their phones. But
I mean, they're still going to have them. I mean, we all still have ours in our pockets everywhere we go too, I'm sure. But it's not like they're just like sitting around zoned out on their phones.
Exactly.
No.
There's so much other stuff happening.
Yeah, we have a jam-packed agenda.
Yep.
So they're not only doing stuff with the breakout sessions to learn, the drug-specific material, but we also have small groups where they're kind of breaking down the information and talking about how it applies to them and their school or their life. We have different team building challenges that they do. We have like a specific time where we do that, but then we brought this past year cabin competitions into play, which was one of their favorites. Even the interns really said that they enjoyed those. So just random activities to get them talking to new people, doing new activities. Most of them did not come with people that they knew,
which I think is amazing, that when people show up to that and they don't really know what to expect, and they don't really know what, I mean, they know about TI, but they don't really know about TI, and then they come alone. That takes some bravery.
Yeah, and to see how daunting it could be, even though it's not really daunting, it's actually pretty awesome. I think last year we had around 50-ish with the interns, and we had, I think, kids, if I remember correctly, from maybe 26 different schools across the St. Louis area. What I really like about that is, and I was actually just telling kids at Lindbergh High School today about this, that it is nice to be around your people in your area, because you do get to like talk to who you're used to. But then when you come to a camp like this and you're around people who might live like an hour from you that go to a whole different school district, you get to really learn and grow as a person, because you're hearing ideas about leadership and advocacy that maybe you didn't even know existed. And so it really
that perspective that you don't get in your kind of day-to-day routine.
Exactly. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
So I know that we've mentioned it's at Camp Wyman, and we've really brought back the camp feel. So for many years, it was held at a different retreat center kind of in southern Jefferson County. And then COVID happened. I think everything, we can blame so much on COVID, right? But really, I think COVID set us back a little bit with Teen Institute, if we're being honest.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, looking at all the materials and knowing a little bit of the history about TI, it's been around since 1980. And, we've had all these locations. And like I said, we used to do it over the summer. And that was the big hit, right? Everybody wanted to come to TI. We used to have groups of 80 and 90.
Right.
And then COVID hit. And, of course, there was the year we couldn't do it because of COVID. And then because we weren't in schools during COVID, it was hard to recruit for camp. So for a couple years, it got a little wonky, for lack of any other better word there.
Right. It's just hard we lost that momentum.
We really did. And so that is why we ended up changing locations and time of year, because we started to notice after COVID that over the summer, two things were happening. One, people were already like super busy with other camps or catching up on maybe school things that they had fallen behind from the COVID time frame. But then you also had people who they just wanted a break. COVID was stressful, and getting back to school after COVID was stressful. So I think some people just wanted a break. So we really had to figure out how do we get our customer base back, or how do we get our TI base back? And it has been the first year we were really nervous about the big changes. We took it over in the rebuilding year.
Yeah,
of
you
changing.
all just like took everything and threw it out the window and rebuilt it.
Yeah, so it's been nice to have the support of everybody who works for us. I mean, we can recruit all day long, but it has literally been every single department, our counseling department, our peers. I mean, we have everybody that's recruited for us. So.
So you call them customers. I like that. But the people that show up to this retreat, right? This 4 days with us. Tell me about the type of kids, because I think when some people think about, Prevent+Ed, they're a substance use organization and they're having this retreat. So this must be for kids that are struggling with substance use. Yeah. Wrong answer. Oh, well, this must be for kids that are already like the super leaders at their schools and already doing everything and are already involved with Prevent+Ed programs. Wrong answer, right?
Yeah.
Not wrong answer. It could be any of those kids.
Sure.
So tell me in the last few years at least, like what type of kids come to TI and what type of kids do you really see like that fit in and are really experiencing TI in the way that we imagine?
Yeah. Like we said just a second ago, there is a lot of different ways that we have been recruiting.
Yep.
And so when we recruit in each different department, and even in all of our personal lives, we get a mix of anybody. We get people that show up and they are BFF besties with somebody that came last year. And so they think they know everything to expect. We have people whose grandma signed them up and they're being dropped off at camp and they have no idea what to expect. But we are really looking for anybody who wants to learn more about prevention in the substance use space. We want people who are trying to start a leadership group at their school regarding prevention. We have a lot of students that are already involved in their local coalitions. And so that is a really cool thing that we know that they're already involved in that. So whatever they learn, they're going to take back to their schools, but they're also going to take it back to their communities. We have people who just hear about it in health class and they're like, oh yeah, Ali was pretty cool whenever she talked to me in class.
I want to go hang out with Ali some more.
So I want to go hang out with all those cool Prevent+Ed people. So we really have gotten a mix. And the cool thing is that whenever they are at TI, no matter what their background is, if maybe they've struggled with a substance before, maybe if they have a family member who has struggled with substance use, maybe they have no personal connection whatsoever, they all get something out of it.
Absolutely.
And so we are hoping to get that message across in all of our recruiting, that we want anybody who wants to come.
Well, speaking of what you just said, we had, because part of our, when they register, they talk about how they heard about TI and then also why they want to come to TI. And one of my favorite stories from last year that I was reading on their registration was one of the participants' parent, I think it was the mom, she said, I'm coming to TI in support of my mom who's been able to be sober for, I think at the time was maybe 6 months.
Yeah.
And then they were also working on talking to her dad about getting sober as well. So she was coming in support of that and to just kind of get away for a weekend to have fun and meet people that she could kind of connect with in that space. So that was one of my favorite stories from last year.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I know you might have mentioned this in the beginning, but just while we're talking about, recruiting and who comes to TI, remind me again of the ages. So this is not for any kid.
No, as much as we wish that we could make that work. High school. So yeah, they're during the school year, which will be 2026, 2027 school year. They have to be in high school. They can be freshmen through senior. And we'll have that kind of spelled out in the application. As much as we wish we could open it up to more, the content that we provide, like the level of age appropriateness of the stuff that we talk about, we want to make sure that it's geared kind of towards high school.
And so even 8th graders right now here in the spring, if they're thinking about wanting to be part of a leadership program starting in high school, they can be part of it in the fall as they start their freshman year.
Right.
So
just as long as you're in high school in November, you are welcome to attend.
Absolutely.
And we don't necessarily have any geography restrictions either. I know we've had students from across Missouri into Illinois, but if if they want to travel, we welcome.
Oh, absolutely. Any other state, we'll get them there. We'll figure it out somehow, as long as they're a high school kid. Another thing to mention too, this past year we ended up bringing back our intern program, which is where they get to come back for a second year. And it's more of like a selective group, so to say. I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but a group of, this past year, I think we had 12 interns, and it's kind of a higher leadership position. They get to take over our jobs for a little bit, and assist some of the other coworkers that we have at Teen Institute that are running workshops, or they'll just help set up chairs for us. Really anything, they're just kind of there to help. And then also
like junior staff, you might
essentially,
And so the requirement, or the I guess the requirement for being an intern is that you've attended Teen Institute.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. And then that following year. So it's not a camp that somebody would attend their freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year.
No,
you really come once and you have the experience. If you'd want to return, you have the possibility of returning as an intern.
Correct.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then the other connection that we have to Teen Institute, a lot of our Teen Institute kiddos will get connected with what we have called Hear Us, which, how would you describe Hear Us? I know you've have part of it to do with Hear Us
I
before?
do not, but I know that we've kind of shared kiddos recently in the last couple of years, which is really nice. So we'll have some that attended TI and then attended Hear Us, and then also we've had the vice versa last year, and it was really successful this year. Jenny, you probably know how to describe it a little bit better.
So Hear Us is really it's a one-day event as far as, kind of the peak of it all. But building up to it, it's a one-day event where we take a group of students to Jefferson City to really practice advocacy. And so leading up to it, we do different trainings. We really reinforce a lot of the same information and messaging, other additional Prevent+Ed staff to help make sure that young people are prepared. So when they walk in, they're not like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. They have to have a plan before they get there. But then, I guess it's actually... it's probably about 24 hours. So they go down the night before, have an overnight in a hotel, and then spend the day at our capital in Jeff City. And there is a lot of overlap because sometimes people who attend Hear Us who haven't heard about Teen Institute are then like, I'm ready to do more. Or people that attend Teen Institute and maybe not know about the opportunity of Hear Us are saying, I want to do more. And here's a natural way they can continue to be
because
involved.
we do have a whole advocacy session usually on the last day of Teen Institute to talk about things that they can do after Teen Institute once they go back to their communities and their schools. And that's what I really like about Hear Us is that they get to meet with the legislators that are in their zip codes. Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
It is really cool.
Yeah, and a lot of them, I don't know the exact number, so I'd be interested to see, but I know a handful of them also signed up to be a part of Elevated.
Yeah, which is our youth coalition.
Yep, Prevent+Ed's youth coalition. But then a lot of them have reached out to us about, information about how to maybe start a group at their school, or we've had local coalitions of adults reach out and say, hey, we're really looking for young people to help us with this project, or we're really looking to get some youth voices for like year-round activities or things like that. And so we can pull from kind of those kiddos that have attended TI to get more involved with those groups too.
Yeah, and one organization that we work with quite a bit, Vitendo for Africa, they've had a number of kiddos who were interested in just learning more about addiction and the teen brain. We had one group after Teen Institute who went back to Vitendo for Africa, and they did a whole presentation on addiction and the adolescent brain. So just to see how they take the information they learn at Teen Institute and literally go apply it to their own home groups. It's so fun to see and then hear about, and it just kind of, it's why we do what we do.
Well, yeah, and I know, all of us being involved for many years, there's a phrase that's used called the TI magic, right?
Yes.
So we're not really doing magic tricks there.
No.
So what is the TI magic?
Well, I just told my classes today at the high school I was teaching at, I said anything I could tell you, and even the recruiting video I show you, which is awesome, by the way, Lauren and Audrey. But, it's kind of one of those things that we can talk about all day long, and as weird as it might sound or cliche as it might sound, you kind of really have to be there to understand it. I mean, even staff members and visitors that kind of come through TI, they don't stay the whole time, but they come and visit. They can tell a little bit of the TI magic.
Oh yeah, you can
too.
feel it.
It's a vibe. It's this energy you feel when you get there. Even if you come in from all these different backgrounds, you get to Teen Institute and you just have this. It's hard to explain.
It is hard to explain. Grace, do you know how to explain it?
TI was one of the programs that I did not attend as a high schooler. And so my first experience staying at TI the whole time and doing all of the things was 2 years ago when Ali and I started co-directing. Yep. And of course, Ali is like the biggest proponent of the TI magic. Mm-hmm. And so it was cool to see how the TI magic was present for staff. Staff people who had already done TI before and staff like myself who had never done all of it, and for the participants also. So there's something about being with the same group of people for almost 4 days. You're learning together, you're doing activities together, you're eating all of your meals together. It gives a lot of time for people to just connect. Yeah. We're not hanging out watching TV. We're not hanging out on our phones. We're enjoying s'mores and playing games and doing crafts.
Slide dancing.
Yes, slide dancing, eating ice cream. There's a million different things that we're doing. So it was super fun to experience the TI magic as a staff person with my fellow coworkers, but also you can just see the TI magic transform the participants. Yeah. Sometimes people will walk in and I would say more often than not, they're super nervous. Sometimes they don't know anybody. We have a few outliers that are just
there's that really in the beginning. There's that really kind of awkward silence sometimes in the beginning.
Oh, absolutely.
And people just kind of walking in with deer in headlights situation, but at the end, on Sunday, people don't want to go home.
Right. Well, and I was going to say I've never stayed for an entire TI, and I'm not volunteering to camp out with you all. I mean, I will if
we would love to have you,
but I have been to many TIs over the years where I've been there in the beginning for a portion, and then I've been there at the end. And it is, it sounds dramatic to say like it's transformational, but there is a change. There is a change in the way that that the room feels, the way people are reacting to each other, to the information being shared, where it is. At first, it's like there's still that wall. There's still a little bit of like, I don't really know who I am here, and by the end of the day they're like, I'm me and I'm here doing it, and it is very much you can see it happen, and that's the magic.
And I can point to another piece of magic from TI. We have a staff member, Jess, used to have a different last name, but Jess, we'll just call her Jess for now. She came when she was in high school, and she came back a second year, and that was actually one of the years that I was one of the intern coordinators before we had to before the COVID time frame that messed everything up. But so I had her as a high school kid, and she loved Teen Institute, loved everything about what Prevent+Ed did, and she works for us now as a counselor. So it's really, again, cool to see that timeline of events of the folks that stay with us and follow us and, have our mission that they really want to work with.
Yeah. So 2 things before we wrap up. 1, quickly, what's your favorite thing about TI?
Ooh, everything.
Everything?
Oh, man. No, just that what we just talked about, the transformation piece and seeing what happens when they go back to their schools and seeing the returners when they come back as interns. I know that's more than one thing, but
that's okay. That's okay. Grace is going to say tie-dyeing. Spoiler alert.
So I do love the tie-dye piece. My favorite, I am going to say the activities. We have some super fun teams challenges that they get to do together, but then also the camp things. It's so fun to see. It was so fun to see how much the high schoolers who had probably most of them had never tie-dyed before, which is my thing. But most of them had never tie-dyed before. And so for some of them to be like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Or some of them be like, I haven't done this since I was in first grade. It just kind of brings out that camp youthfulness.
And those new experiences.
The s'mores, the hiking, that kind of stuff.
Now that we're saying this, I think if I had to say my favorite thing, if I could sum it all up, is those first experiences with those kids.
Yeah, very cool. All right, last question. If a listener wants to know more about TI or wants to sign someone up for TI, where do they find more information, or how do they connect with?
So not that they're going to be in every single school that we go to, but we do put these flyers up in the schools that we go to. It's also going to be on our social medias. Occasionally, they could go to our website and just type in Teen Institute, and it'll pop up to the registration page. And once they fill that out, Grace and I get it, and we get them all signed up.
Yeah. So go to prevented.org.
Yep.
Go search for TI, and you'll see it there. And then if you have more questions, both of your names are on that page too, so somebody can reach out to one of you and say, wait, I need to know more about, and you'll be able to give them all that information.
Yes, I promise it's not weird. Email us. It is fine. Yeah. We will answer any question that you have. Absolutely.
Well, thank you both for being here. Yeah. I'm very, very excited for TI 2026. I've been very excited to see kind of that rebuild of it. And so every year just keeps getting better. And I'm looking forward to November. So if you like what you heard and you want to hear more, please subscribe to us at anywhere you access your podcast. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us at The Preventable, brought to you ad-free by Prevent+Ed. Prevent+Ed works to reduce or prevent the harms of alcohol and other drug use through education, intervention, and advocacy. Please visit their website at prevented.org. Like what you heard? Rate, review, and subscribe to stay up to date with what we are serving on The Preventable.